We'll start this morning with some big breaking news.
Amorim's future is under the microscope once again, and the frustration around his methods has reached boiling point. Despite the growing pressure from fans, media, and even whispers inside the club, the Portuguese coach has made one thing absolutely clear: he will not compromise his philosophy or his approach. For him, consistency and belief in his system matter more than appeasing critics. But the danger is obvious if no flexibility is shown, and if results don't follow. The only option left may be a brutal one: the club could have to sack him. The debate around Amorim has been intensifying for months. When he was first brought in, his reputation was built on innovation, tactical clarity, and a steely determination that convinced many he could lead the team into a new era. At first, that energy worked. The squad bought into his methods, the results carried weight, and the supporters believed they had a manager who was not afraid to stand firm in the face of difficulty. But football is never static. Circumstances change, opponents adapt, and clubs evolve. Amorim's greatest strength, his refusal to bend from his philosophy, is now being perceived as his biggest weakness. The results have been patchy, and the atmosphere has shifted from patience to outright frustration. The key issue is that Amorim has shown no intention of altering formations, squad rotations, or tactical tweaks to suit the current reality. Injuries, dips in form, and obvious problems in certain positions have not been enough to force his hand. Instead, his public comments only reinforce his stubbornness. He has consistently argued that the team must trust the process, that short-term losses are part of long-term success, and that breaking from his structure would only cause more chaos. On paper, it sounds admirable. But football isn't just about theory, it is about pragmatism. Fans do not live off patience alone, they live off victories, excitement, and the sense that their team is growing stronger. When matches are lost in the same fashion, with repeated mistakes and the same tactical patterns exploited by rivals, even the most loyal supporters begin to doubt. And that is exactly what is happening here. Amorim's insistence on playing the same system, regardless of the opponent, is being viewed as a dangerous arrogance. Critics argue that while his philosophy worked when the squad was fresh and motivated, it has now been figured out. Other managers have studied his setup, prepared counters to it, and exposed weaknesses. Instead of adjusting, Amorim has doubled down. For him, conceding tactical ground would be admitting failure. For the fans, however, the refusal to change looks like negligence. Inside the dressing room, reports suggest that cracks are forming. Some players have grown frustrated with their limited roles, believing that even when they show promise in training, they are denied chances because the system does not allow for their inclusion. Senior figures in the squad, too, have quietly expressed doubts about whether the approach is sustainable. Yet Amorim is unmoved. He sees dissent as weakness, and he maintains that unity comes from everyone following one vision, not from bending to individual demands. The board now finds itself in a dilemma. On the one hand, sacking Amorim would mean admitting a mistake after investing so much faith, money, and time into his project. On the other hand, keeping him without change risks a total collapse of morale, both in the stands and in the locker room. The choice is brutal, and it may soon become unavoidable. If he will not compromise, and if results do not dramatically improve, the board will be left with only one lever to pull: dismissal. Fans have already made their stance clear. Match-day atmospheres have turned from supportive to hostile. Chants questioning Amorim's decisions, sarcastic applause when substitutions are made, and banners demanding change have all surfaced. Supporters understand that no coach should be a prisoner of public opinion, but they also know that loyalty is not unconditional. In football, credibility is earned week by week, and Amorim is in danger of losing his. It is not just about results but the manner of them. When a team plays with spirit, energy, and clear purpose, defeats can be forgiven. But when losses feel predictable, when tactics look stale, and when the manager shows no urgency to adjust, supporters interpret it as a betrayal of ambition. The sense that nothing will change under Amorim has taken hold, and it is a powerful narrative. The irony is that Amorim's refusal to adapt stems from the same conviction that once made him successful. He believes that strong leadership requires clarity, and that constantly altering the system would confuse players and damage long-term cohesion. He points to clubs that endured tough stretches under stubborn managers before eventually flourishing. Yet the counterargument is simple: football evolves too quickly to allow for blind loyalty to a single plan. Great managers are not defined by unshakable rigidity but by their ability to balance principles with pragmatism. Amorim's reputation as one of Europe's brightest young coaches is at stake. He has already been linked with other jobs in the past, and his stubbornness was once seen as evidence of his strength. Now, however, it risks branding him as inflexible and one-dimensional. If he refuses to change here and ends up being sacked, future employers will wonder whether he can ever adapt to different challenges. For now, the club has not pulled the trigger. The board insists that Amorim still has their trust, at least publicly. But behind closed doors, the question is being asked more frequently: how long can we wait? The season is not lost yet, but it is slipping away. Every week without change feels like a week wasted, and every defeat adds to the sense that a painful decision is coming closer. Ultimately, this story is not just about one manager's stubbornness but about the broader clash between ideals and realities in football. Every coach wants to be remembered as a visionary who stuck to his beliefs, but the game is ruthless. Fans, players, and boards do not reward consistency in words, they reward adaptability and results. Amorim's future will come down to one simple truth: if he refuses to change anything, and if performances don't improve, then the club will have no choice but to change the one thing it can: the man in the dugout. In the end, football is unforgiving to those who stand still. Amorim has built his identity on not compromising, but if he continues down this path, he may soon find himself paying the ultimate price. The decision will not be about loyalty or philosophy, it will be about survival. And in that battle, stubbornness is rarely enough.